So Jimbo just had me watch this movie called Hereditary. I gotta tell you, that was the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
And like some scary movies, I don't even know, like, should I do a spoiler alert?
Yeah, spoiler alert, 100%.
Should we just go for it?
Yes.
Okay,
This is a movie review, let's put it that way.
Yeah. A lot of movies, there's some terror, but there's some resolution. Like healthy resolution is what I'm trying to say.
And those are cheap to me.
This one, it just didn't care. And
like movies, horror movies, the way I see it, the best horror movies are the ones... Here's the way I see it. When you're watching a horror movie, you're watching it to get scared. You're watching it to feel a certain emotion. That's why you go to any movie. Like when you go to see Joker, for instance.
yeah.
Like you're going in there to feel the emotion you're trying to feel for that is like, I don't know, psychologically intrigued.
Or I think you're supposed to feel what he's going through. And
right, you're supposed to feel the idea of psychosis.
Right, and it kind of makes you kind of shake yourself if you're actually getting into the film because he is the character you're following.
And so if you're watching Love Actually, you're trying to you want to feel a Christmassy feel good vibe.
Romance.
Yeah. Now if you're watching a horror movie, you're trying to see the fucked up stuff. You're trying to fuck yourself up. Basically,
yeah, so that's why I avoid them for the most part. But they encouraged this one, and honestly, like it pulled all these emotions out of me like big time.
You were like physically jolting at some point.
I was jolting. And guess what? We didn't watch this in a movie theater. We had this on a laptop. The volume wasn't even working on my computer, so we had to plug in earplugs, and we literally, Jim and I had one in each ear when we were in and Rain was hanging out,
I think it was one of those movies where...
we literally, guys, it was on a screen. I'm just trying to shape this environment for you guys so you understand how scary it was. Despite that would ruin a lot of movies for people.
It would.
It didn't. I, at one point, had to push the computer away from me. And I was like, I'm sorry, Jim. I was just like...
Honestly, I think seeing it on a bigger screen,
Did we say the name of this movie?
Hereditary.
But did we say that at the beginning?
Yeah.
We did, okay.
Yeah, we did. I think seeing it in the movie theater would have cheapened it. Would have cheapened the experience. Maybe not. Honestly, no, I take that back. Because...
Why was watching it the way we did make it... Why did that
more intimate.
Oh, it was more... It was right there.
Yeah, more intimate. Instead of in a crowd... hearing like gas and stuff like that, that's why I like watching movies with you, because it's so we didn't talk the whole time. It's all silent, and we're both just watching. So like when you're rather than being in a theater with a bunch of people watching it alone, and just like there, you're way more just sort of like you have no choice but to.
And there are plenty of times during this movie where I was like, I tried my best to stay with it.
Yeah, I was afraid you were gonna like shut it off at some point, or not shut it off, but all right.
Well, I did different points. I was like, bro, like, I was like, dude, I don't. And you're like, no, this is the most horrific part of the movie, which was kind of a lie.
Well, for me it was. For me, it's the most horrific part.
It was the most horrific part, but I thought that meant a resolution.
Oh no. And I meant that was just like the worst punch you're gonna get in the gut.
that was a horrible punch. That was like, that one shook me.
And that one, oh man, it's just.
So we're not giving away stuff, are we?
No, we are. We're spoiling. I mean, not currently.
We're not giving the material away though. We're kind of just talking about the.
Well, I'll give one moment of material away. That part at least.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Like, what kind of review are we trying to encourage people to watch the movie?
Yeah, I am.
But why would you say the material? Because you were talking about this review, and I'm saying it's an overall vibe.
It's an overall. Oh yeah. Well, okay. So, but the material definitely is very relevant. Like it's like.
But is it worth talking about?
Yeah.
And. Making people still interested, because I didn't know what was coming that whole time, and that shocked me.
That's why this is like okay. So right now, if you haven't seen it, then don't watch the rest of this
Thank you. That's what I want to say.
because it's gonna be spoilers. And this is a movie you don't want. Well, yeah, it's a movie you don't want to know what happens. You don't even want to know like if you haven't seen any trailers for it. Because when I saw it the first time, I only knew like glimpses of the trailer of like. Which the trailer when they did that very well. That's another reason that this was like
They really didn't give
grade
away
A professionalism when it comes to like directing and the way it was made because even the trailer gave nothing away. Right. It showed nothing. It just lets you know, hey, this is gonna be something you might want to see. It's pretty fucked up, you know. But it just gave a feeling like the trailer just invoked like. And there was just movie buzz about it, about like this is a really dark movie.
I thought this was, when you described this, I thought this was going to be kind of like a PG-13 sort of like psychological scare, because it's kind of how you, I think
addressed it to you.
You may have done that to get me to watch it.
I might have.
Okay.
Sometimes if I think something's going to be too much for you, I round the corners.
I mean, I took it on.
Because I always feel like you're thankful afterward, but at least for the experience.
No, but, you're right.
What was I gonna say? So I think the reason it's so hard hitting. Well, why would you say? Like, what would be your opinion as to why like
ruthless to very sensitive, vulnerable people,
and it tugs on I'd say the whole spectrum of like. Grief, shock, PTSD. Like, for instance, okay, here's one of the spoilers. Like when the minute Charlie gets decapitated in the car, and like, because I've seen so many movies, I know I have like a whole library of things I can compare something to know if it's good or not, and know if the directing was well done. And so like when that happens, like a different movie that I wouldn't be that into would be like, you know, she gets decapitated and then he like looks back and like like screams or something,
right?
You know, yeah, something like that. But like the fact that like it just stays there for a while.
Should we address who Charlie is?
Charlie's the little sister.
The brother is told to go to this. He's asked to be part of this party, and
he's going to a party, and his mom doesn't want his sister to be Charlie to be left out. So
she basically invites him. She forces him to invite her, and she's
allergic to peanuts.
She eats a piece of cake at the party because he's gonna go smoke pot with his group, and he encourages her to eat the cake, and her throat starts swelling up, and in an attempt to drive her to the hospital, she gasps for air and puts her head out the window, basically. And
then there's a light post.
There's a light post.
Power line
post, and he basically has to pull out of the way for some roadkill.
A deer is in the road.
And decapitation.
Yeah.
And that whole scene is just slow. You know, it's just like a...
And, I mean, right off the bat, they don't pull any punches either. Because, like, when she hits the post, it could have just done, like, a blackout thing, you know? But, like, there's a silhouette of blood spurting, like, that kind of shit. You know.
And like Jimmy said, it's like the inevitable. Like he's there, and it just shows his face, and he's trying to talk to her, and he knows she's gone.
Yeah, like it puts you. It makes the reason it's so like I mean there's many reasons, but it's one of them is that it doesn't make. No moment in the movie feels like a movie situation.
No. It feels like
it all feels like it's something is like you're seeing something actually happening to someone, like, and because the reactions that they're having is exactly how someone would react to those situations. So, like, just like it makes you think like, okay, say you were like you have like a gun in your hands and you're like loading it and you accidentally shoot your son, you know, like that's what that moment is like.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be like, oh my god, oh fuck. I mean, maybe, but like in you wouldn't act like how a movie actor you would expect a movie actor to act. You would just lock down like he does, because right after it happens, he just is just like complete shock.
And at that point, you know, basically, this is why it's so twisted. He drives home. He can't even. He's in shock. So he leaves his sister's body in the car
And just walks upstairs.
just
and like,
walks
goes to
upstairs,
bed.
go to bed, and his mom in the morning. You just hear you hear the whole scene of her waking up, leaving the house.
Yeah,
the
saying like, I'm gonna go
dialogue.
see a movie.
Go see a movie. There's dialogue.
And the whole time it's
just his
centered
face.
on his face and his eyes open. And when she starts to scream in the distance, his face is unchanging because again it's like that's how someone would act. Like
Right.
it's like, you know, it's like when someone describes being raped.
Yep.
They just disassociate.
And you know, I thought that was the way Jimmy portrayed this movie is. I thought that was the heaviest thing that could happen. You know what I mean? And essentially it was, but it doesn't get any.
I guess
better.
it's subjective or what's the word? Maybe is that the right word?
I think he was trying to encourage me to keep watching because
Yeah,
I was like, dude,
definitely.
I don't, I'm done, man. And he's like, no, I'll just keep. And I was like, all right, fine. Like,
Well, because then there's so many.
there's a tease in this movie, and basically is the mother. Is there something wrong with her mentally, or is there something else going on? And it's really playing this field like you really don't know. You know what I mean?
And that's why the title like it has like dual meanings, like
does.
hereditary.
Right.
Like where when you're watching it, and she's talking about the mental illness in the family.
Yep.
And also if we're like describing shit that like we didn't really fully like go in, like we're not fully describing perfectly, because if you haven't seen the movie, like
Yeah.
names and stuff like that, just like look up just a synopsis of it. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so like in the beginning, like when she's like describing like the mental illness that's like hereditary in her family, obviously like it seems to be, that's what you're thinking of. But by the end of the movie, by really quickly into the movie, but mostly toward the end twist, like you realize that hereditary means that the family inherited the cult.
Yep.
You know, curse or whatever that the grandmother was, and that this lady Joan were
Involved in.
yeah.
And that's a twisted thing, you know. You hope through the film that there is help for these people, and the help that is given, it turns out it's not what it seems.
The whole movie you're seeing a family slowly being and the thing is not a happy family. That's another cliche of every horror movie. It's like, oh, it's a happy family. And then they all die or something happens.
Yeah.
That's bad. Like happy family, out in the world, you know, happy couple. But this one, it's already a family. And it starts with the death of the grandmother. It starts at a funeral, and it's a family that's already kind of held together by strings. And the mother's already clearly at the end of her rope, like mentally, like she's gone through shit, and like her mother was a horrible person apparently. So you're seeing a family that's already in turmoil getting torn apart completely. Like it's seeing salt put into an open wound, basically.
I've never seen something that rough before. And you know, the thing is, you get these thrasher, you know, these cut up movies, and that's all messed
Popcorn
up.
movies that are watchable, so you can eat popcorn. Which is, you know,
I wouldn't eat popcorn while watching that, but that's, yeah. But I get what you're saying. But I mean, I've never seen the way that they make this movie. You care for these characters. You get the sense that there is hope, and then it's just a torment. It's just like, it's so twisted. And like I said, you know, they play with that. Is this real? Is this person unstable? And basically at the end, you're just like, it's just this cold, empty feeling. And the thing I have to say about this is, how is this different? in what frames horror in terms of scare? Like where does horror in
Well,
I guess drama kind of mix, because this there's at its core, I mean, this is like a tragedy.
that's what I would
Did you
call it, I
see what
think.
I'm saying? This
I would,
like this was, I'm crying, like it's tearing me up. You know what I mean? And like I feel like, you know, obviously this is enriching in some ways because it's such a heavy experience for me. It's just a film.
like how it hit you makes me happy.
Yeah,
because
but-
because it made you feel something, and that's why, like, for me, like, I'm so desensitized.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even desensitized, it's just because of how my brain goes into a movie, like when I watch it, like,
Yeah.
I enjoy every second, but it's very calculated and what's the word, critiquing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was picking up. Like you pick things up as opposed to like maybe taking it all in for the moment. You know what I mean?
So when a movie makes me actually feel like when I actually like jolt at something, or I saw this for the first time, it actually made me feel like really like dread. It made me feel like actual dread after the first time I saw it.
It's just one of those slower. It's like, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Grudge, but it's that twist of horror, but also just slow depression.
Mm.
It's not going to get any better, and you're just following these characters, and it's sometimes a lot of these horror movies have light at the end of the tunnel. Some of these horror movies don't invoke those sort of emotions. Some don't. They play with horror, but not necessarily with sadness.
Because it's instinctual. You want a conclusion. You want a resolve, and so the key. That's why the key of a good horror movie is that. Well, two different things.
I don't know if this is the scariest horror movie I've seen. I think definitely, but
It's the most.
I would say,
Yeah.
but just the most, like,
Maybe not scariest, but
it just hit me the hardest.
most. You know what? Most violating.
Yeah, it's something like that.
You feel violated. Because you feel like by what you just watched, because of the emotions it makes you feel. It makes you feel as if someone got in your head and saw what could make you feel a certain way and exposed it on film. It feels very personal.
Yeah, I would say also it's just this idea that I was just drawn to such that universe that they created was just, it was so absolutely savage. You know what I mean?
The miniature sort
and
of.
you're there for a bit, and you know what I mean, and you pull out and you're just like, I can't believe I just stepped into that world for a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so opposite to the things that I believe in, which is, you know, good. And it's meant for the dynamic of the horror movie. They're supposed to put you in that mood. But if you understand what I mean is, you know, in real life, I believe in everything opposite to what that just was.
Yeah.
That was the innocent get torn apart and torn apart more. And you just watch that, and that's the artist. That's the artist was trying to put you through this. They want to bring you to the lowest place possible for the sense of art. It's not like they're not doing it in a mean way. They do want you to feel that absolute hopelessness.
It's clearly an unbiased, and that's why so many horror movies suck, because it's a very biased view the director takes. Whether it's he's really trying to make something really fuck you up intentionally, so it's gonna be over the top, an over the top gore fest, where to the point where you're like, I feel nothing from this. It's fun to watch, but it's like there's like jelly spurting out of this person, like, you know, like this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen, or they really try to like make something like feel.
That was the absolute worst thing that could have happened throughout that film. Like everything that they did was just a progression of like your worst fears.
Yep.
Manifested, and you're just like, I can't believe that just.
The whole movie, you know what it is? The whole movie for me is an extended version of it's multiple instances of one of those moments in your life, and everyone's had them. One of those moments where something happens. Maybe it could be a death, or something that happened right in front of you, something like your life getting turned on its completely on its side for like, and you're realizing it now, and the fight or flight thing happening to you, where you're like, no, this isn't real, what's happening. And the thing is, everyone's gone through that at some point, I feel. So that's why it's so hard hitting, because you know what that feels like, and you're seeing actors acting that out perfectly.
And there was no pull away.
No.
They just took you through all of it. There's no relief. So you can relieve yourself by pulling away from the screen, but if you stick with it, I mean, different points I just let myself get overwhelmed. You know what I mean? And at different points I kind of had to just push it. I was just like, okay, you know.
And that's the best thing to do as an audience member too.
Push the computer to the screen. At different points I was just like, oh my god. Like, I only did that once with the film, but. Jimmy, are you okay? Did the film affect you? That sort of.
Still got a cough.
Still got a cough.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that's a wrap?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty more we could get into, but it's okay.
I mean, I feel like that's the basic gist of the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Like,
without giving too much away.
Right. Because we don't want to walk someone through the entire movie, but.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this is a spoiler, but if you're I didn't know, I thought there was hope at the end of the tunnel. This is why it affected me so much. If someone knows that this is a direct progression into that.
Well, also, like, the best, maybe not this horror movie, maybe this is the best tragedies, I call it like a paranormally based.
If you knew what was going to happen, do you think it would still affect you?
Yes, it would. If I'd never seen it before and someone told me what happens, I still would be super impacted by it, because no one would be able to describe to me
the way that it was acted,
the way that it's shot, the way that audio is used, the way that the frames are positioned, the way the reactions are of the actors, you know, from what's happening to them, like just everything. So I would still be hit by it. Definitely.
Well, that's a wrap, guys.
Yup.
And to, relate to what you were saying, I would probably still be hit by it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be some sort of relief knowing I could just psych myself out of the movie, but in this case, I really did my best to just try to be in the film and not try to
you did a great job.
Make jokes or try to dampen it, just take it all in.
It's rare that you find those movies where if you were to try to make a joke like in the movie, like it's not even gonna register to the person you're probably telling it to. Like they would just be like, "What? Oh yeah, that's funny." Like, fuck,
Not this one.
Yeah, not
there's no games with this one.
Not this one. I know you're trying to make a joke, but this is heavy.
It's too heavy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Peace.
Bye. Peace.